Imagine you are walking through a massive, dark, and incredibly quiet forest at night. The trees are tall, the shadows are deep, and you are completely alone. You have no weapons, no map, and no idea what kind of predators might be lurking just out of sight. You are entirely vulnerable in this unknown wilderness. Every snapping twig or rustling leaf makes your heart race. The silence is heavy, almost suffocating. You feel the instinctive urge to find some kind of comfort. So you do the most illogical thing possible. You take a deep breath, cup your hands around your mouth, and prepare to break the absolute silence. You shout at the top of your lungs, "Hello! Is anyone out there? I am right here!" You wait, hoping a friendly ranger will come to your rescue. Your voice echoes through the trees, traveling far beyond your line of sight. But no friendly voice answers. The silence that follows is even more terrifying than before. Because in a dark forest, making noise doesn't bring help. It brings hunters. You just broadcasted your exact location to every apex predator hiding in the dark. Anyone with common sense knows that shouting in a predator-filled forest is a terrible, suicidal idea. You are basically ringing the dinner bell for the wolves. Now let's zoom out, far out. Replace that dark forest with the infinite, freezing vacuum of outer space, and replace that foolish wanderer with us, humanity. For the past century, we have been wandering through the cosmic forest, and instead of staying quiet, we have been screaming our existence into the void. Through radio waves, television broadcasts, and deliberate messages aimed at distant stars, Earth has been glowing like a neon sign in the pitch-black universe. We assume that whoever hears us will be friendly, enlightened alien beings, eager to share their advanced technology and welcome us into a galactic federation. But what if the universe doesn't work like Star Trek? What if the cosmos is not a friendly neighborhood, but a dark, terrifying jungle where survival is the only law? What if the reason the universe seems so empty and quiet is simply because everyone else is smart enough to hide from the monsters in the dark? Today, we are diving deep into the most terrifying answer to the Fermi Paradox. Welcome to the nightmare that is the dark forest theory. To understand why the dark forest is so terrifying, we first need to understand the Fermi Paradox. Let's look up at the night sky. In our Milky Way galaxy alone, there are roughly 100 to 400 billion stars. That is a mind-boggling amount of solar systems. In the observable universe, there are trillions of galaxies. For every grain of sand on every beach on Earth, there are tens of thousands of stars. Even if we are extremely pessimistic and assume that only a tiny fraction of these stars are like our Sun, the numbers are still huge. And if only a fraction of those have Earth-like planets orbiting in the habitable Goldilocks zone, we are still left with billions of potential Earths. With billions of chances for liquid water and right conditions, the probability of life emerging somewhere else is not just high, it is a statistical certainty. But space is only half the equation. We also have to consider deep time. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Earth is a relatively young, 4.5 billion years old, which means other planetary systems had a massive head start, millions or billions of years. Imagine an alien species that started its technological journey just 1 million years before humanity. Think about how fast human technology advances in a single century. Given a million-year head start, an alien civilization could harness the energy of their entire star system, building Dyson spheres and colossal megastructures. They could colonize neighboring stars and eventually spread across the entire galaxy. A true Type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale, reshaping the cosmos. A galactic empire like that would be loud. Their energy signatures, radio waves, and engineering projects would be blindingly obvious to anyone looking. So, humanity built massive telescopes and radio dishes. We pointed them at the sky, ready to see the bustling, noisy galactic city we expected. We listened closely to the stars, scanning millions of frequencies, waiting to hear a greeting, a broadcast, or even just the exhaust noise of a spaceship. But what did we find? Nothing. absolute silence. No spaceships, no megastructures, no alien podcasts. This deafening silence is the Fermi Paradox. To solve this paradox, scientists have proposed many theories. Maybe we are truly alone, a rare cosmic accident in a dead universe. Or maybe there is a great filter, an evolutionary wall that inevitably destroys advanced civilizations before they can leave their home stars. In that scenario, the universe is just a massive, silent graveyard of dead planets that flew too close to the technological sun. But while philosophers and scientists debate why the universe is quiet, humanity has been taking action. And by action, we mean being incredibly reckless. For decades, we haven't just been passively listening to the void. We have been actively shouting into it, completely ignoring the potential dangers. Starting in the early 20th century, our radio and television broadcasts began leaking out of our atmosphere, radiating into deep space. Every news broadcast, every sitcom, and every early political speech has been traveling outwards in an ever-expanding sphere at the speed of light. But accidentally leaking background noise wasn't enough for us. In 1974, we decided to be much more deliberate and direct. We used the massive Arecibo radio telescope to fire a highly concentrated, incredibly powerful beam of radio waves at a distant star cluster. This was the Arecibo message, a digital postcard containing the chemical makeup of our DNA, our global population, and our exact solar system location. We essentially drew a giant cosmic map with a big red X over Earth, broadcasting it to tens of thousands of stars simultaneously. And we didn't stop there. In 1977, we launched the Voyager probes into deep space, carrying physical invitations to our planet. These probes carry the golden records, containing greetings in 55 languages, the sounds of Earth, and detailed diagrams of human anatomy. If a hostile, predatory alien species ever intercepts Voyager, we have literally handed them a complete instruction manual on how to find and dissect us. We are acting exactly like a naive child lost in the dark forest, holding up a blazing flare and yelling our home address. To understand why this is a terrible idea, we have to look at the work of sci-fi author Cixin Liu and his concept of cosmic sociology. Cosmic sociology asks a simple question: how would intelligent civilizations interact on a galactic scale? To answer it, we need two basic axioms. Axiom number 1. Survival is the primary need of any civilization. Before art, science, or diplomacy, a species must stay alive. We see this everywhere on Earth. From the very first single-celled organisms competing ruthlessly for nutrients in a primordial soup, to sprawling human empires fighting over land and water. The drive to exist and expand is hardwired into our biology. If a civilization ever loses its intense drive to survive, it simply goes extinct, leaving only the relentless survivors to populate the universe. Which brings us to axiom number 2. Civilization continuously grows and expands, but the total matter in the universe remains constant. The universe is unimaginably huge, but it is not infinite. There is a fixed, unchanging amount of stars, planets, and raw materials. Meanwhile, life grows exponentially. A single surviving species will eventually multiply, consume, and expand without end. Eventually, even an advanced Type 3 civilization will hit a wall. They will run out of stars to harvest and planets to live on. When an unstoppable force of exponential growth meets the immovable object of finite resources, the result is inevitable conflict. The universe becomes a zero-sum game. A giant cosmic arena where one civilization's expansion guarantees another's starvation. In this environment, every other intelligent species is not a potential friend. They are a competitor for the exact same finite resources. On a cosmic scale, human concepts of good and evil mean absolutely nothing. The only morality that matters is survival. These two simple axioms set the stage for the dark forest. But why can't civilizations just talk and share? That leads us to the chain of suspicion. If two civilizations discover each other, why can't they just communicate? Why not sign a cosmic peace treaty and share resources? The primary problem is the sheer, mind-breaking distance between stars. The speed of light is the absolute speed limit of the universe. Even our closest neighbor, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light-years away. If you say, "Hello," it takes 4 years just to reach them. And it takes another 4 years to hear them say "hi" back. That is an 8-year delay for a single, simple exchange. But what if the civilization is 100 or 1,000 light-years away? A single conversation takes millennia. Real-time communication is physically impossible. During that massive delay, a psychological barrier forms. Because you cannot communicate quickly, you can never truly know the other's intentions. Imagine 2 hunters in the dark forest. They suddenly sense each other's presence. Neither knows if the other is a friend or a threat. Hunter A might be benevolent and peaceful. But does Hunter A know if Hunter B is benevolent or malicious? They can't ask. And even if Hunter B is actually benevolent, does Hunter B know that Hunter A knows that Hunter B is benevolent? It gets complicated. Because you cannot communicate instantly, it creates an infinite, inescapable loop of paranoia. This is the chain of suspicion. Add to that the fact that these are completely different species, different biology, completely different logic, and entirely different moral values. There is no shared culture, no common ground, and absolutely no way to read body language across the cold void of space. The stakes are unimaginably high. Total extinction. If you guess wrong and assume they are friendly, your entire species dies instantly. In game theory, when communication is impossible, resources are finite, and the penalty for guessing wrong is the death of your entire world, the only logical, rational, winning move is to strike first. You must destroy them before they have the chance to destroy you. But what if the civilization you discover is primitive? What if they only have wooden spears or early steam engines? Are they really a threat? Surely a Stone Age species cannot harm a spacefaring galactic empire. Why not just leave them alone and let them evolve in peace? Because in the dark forest, time is the ultimate weapon. And technological progress does not happen in a straight, predictable line. This brings us to the concept of the technological explosion. Human history proves that technological advancement accelerates at a terrifying exponential rate. For hundreds of thousands of years, our early ancestors made almost no progress. They basically just hit rocks against other rocks. Then, it took us roughly 10,000 years to go from the agricultural revolution to the invention of the first complex machines. But the jump from the first industrial steam engine to the first powered airplane took only about a single century. And the leap from the first airplane to walking on the moon and building the global internet took mere decades. In the grand timeline of the universe, a century or even a millennium is absolutely nothing. It is less than a cosmic blink. So, imagine you are an advanced alien hunter observing a primitive civilization that is located 1,000 light-years away from you. Because the speed of light limits information, the image you receive is 1,000 years old. You see them fighting with swords. But what are they doing right now? In those 1,000 years, they might have experienced a technological explosion and built planet-destroying weapons. A civilization that looks like harmless bugs today could suddenly expand and wipe out your entire star system tomorrow. Therefore, there is no room for mercy, no room for passive observation, and absolutely no room for giving second chances. The only safe, logical choice is to eliminate the potential threat immediately and ruthlessly, no matter how weak or innocent they currently seem. So, the universe is full of life, but it is a dark forest. Every surviving civilization is a silent hunter, armed to the teeth. They sneak quietly through the cosmic trees, masking their heat signatures, hiding their planets, and terrified of making a single sound. If they detect another civilization, they don't send an invasion fleet. That is too slow, too risky, and leaves them vulnerable to counterattacks.
Instead, they use the ultimate sniper rifles of the cosmos, dark forest strikes.
Cheap, incredibly fast, and absolutely devastating weapons.
The most common is the photoid.
It is terrifyingly simple. Take a small mass, like a rock, and accelerate it to near light speed. Because it moves so incredibly fast, relativistic physics kicks in. It gains near infinite mass. It becomes a kill vehicle you cannot see coming. The photoid is fired directly into the target star. The impact is so violent, it forces the star to go supernova prematurely. The resulting explosion instantly vaporizes every planet, every city, and every living thing in that solar system. A clean, efficient burn. But what if the target civilization is advanced enough to survive a supernova? For that, hunters use a much darker weapon. The dual vector foil. It looks like a harmless, glowing slip of paper, but it is a weapon of absolute dimensional collapse. When dropped into a solar system, it alters the fundamental laws of physics, causing three-dimensional space to collapse into two dimensions. Planets, stars, and people are violently flattened into a two-dimensional painting. A beautiful, dead, infinitely expanding cosmic artwork. The most terrifying part? The hunters do not do this out of hatred or malice. It is simply cosmic housekeeping. When you walk down the street and step on a bug, you don't do it because you hate the bug. You just stepped. As one character in Cixin Liu's book chillingly says regarding a dimensional strike, "I will destroy you, but what business is it of yours?" That is a terrifying thought to be left with. The universe is full of existential threats, which can make you feel pretty small and helpless. But you know what isn't a threat? Learning how the universe actually works from the safety of your sofa with today's sponsor, BrainSpark. BrainSpark is an interactive learning platform that takes complex scientific concepts like game theory or astrophysics and makes them incredibly easy to digest. With thousands of hands-on lessons, you can build your problem-solving skills and maybe even figure out how to build your own planetary energy shield. The first 500 people to click the link in the description or scan the code will get a 30-day free trial. Support our channel today. Right, enough safety. Let's get back to the impending doom of the dark forest. We know what happens when a hunter finds a weak prey. But what happens if two equally advanced, incredibly powerful Type 2 civilizations discover each other at the exact same time? Imagine two massive empires, both armed with planet-destroying weapons, suddenly realizing they are next-door neighbors. Neither can guarantee a quick, clean kill. A preemptive strike might fail, or the other empire might have a dead man switch that automatically fires back even if their planet is destroyed. This creates a cosmic standoff, a Cold War on a galactic scale. Both sides immediately go completely silent, shutting down all outward communications. Instead of talking, they send out millions of tiny stealth probes, trying to gather intelligence on the other's military capabilities without being seen. But the chain of suspicion remains unbroken. Because of the speed of light, any intelligence gathered is already years out of date by the time it arrives. Paranoia reaches a boiling point. If you see the other side testing a new engine flare, is it for exploration, or are they charging a weapon to kill you? In a state of absolute fear, a single sensor glitch or a misunderstood action triggers the final command. Both sides panic. Both civilizations fire their ultimate weapons simultaneously. Mutual assured destruction. The forest remains quiet. But two more trees have fallen. But surely, in a universe so vast, there must be exceptions. What if a civilization is truly altruistic and decides to brave the dark forest? Let's imagine a young, optimistic species. They have built a utopia, achieved interstellar technology, and want to find friends. They build a massive beacon, a lighthouse in the cosmic dark, broadcasting a message of peace and love in all directions. Their signal ripples outwards, carrying their poetry, their music, and, unfortunately, their exact planetary coordinates into the void. They wait with open arms. But in the dark forest, a loud noise doesn't just wake up one predator, it wakes up all of them. Across the galaxy, dozens of silent hunters receive the signal. They do not coordinate. They do not form an alliance. Each hunter independently applies the chain of suspicion and game theory, and each reaches the exact same logical conclusion. This new civilization might be friendly now, but in a million years, they could be a threat. It is too risky to let them live. So the hunters do what they do best. They fire. But because they are isolated, they don't realize they are all shooting at the exact same target. Back on the utopian planet, the optimistic civilization looks up at their sky, excitedly hoping to see a diplomatic envoy or an alien greeting. Instead, they see multiple photoids, lasers, and dimensional foils arriving simultaneously from completely different directions. The overkill is absolute. Their star goes supernova at the exact same time their space folds in on itself. The entire system is completely erased from existence in a chaotic, overlapping display of cosmic destruction. The hunters don't stick around to watch or ask questions. They don't even know who else fired. They immediately cloak themselves and fade back into the silent darkness, waiting for the next fool to strike a match. Now, let's apply this terrifying logic directly to us. Imagine a completely peaceful alien civilization living on a quiet world. They are just doing routine astronomy when suddenly their sensors pick up an anomaly. A deliberate artificial signal. It is the Arecibo message, or perhaps the Voyager probe. They decode it and see our biology, our music, and our exact location. At first, they are overjoyed. They see that we are primitive, harmless, and actively asking for friends in the dark void. The astronomers rush to their leader, begging to send a friendly reply. But the wise leader is a student of cosmic sociology. The leader realizes the trap. If they send a message back, they light a flare in the dark forest, exposing their own planet to hunters. Okay, so what if they just ignore Earth? Let the humans live in peace? That is also a fatal mistake. The leader looks at the data. Humans went from riding horses to splitting the atom in barely a century. Their growth is terrifying. In a few thousand years, a blink of an eye in cosmic time, those primitive humans could become a galaxy-conquering empire. If the aliens wait, humanity might discover them first. And who knows if humans will be as peaceful as they claim to be. The chain of suspicion locks tightly. The risk of doing nothing is absolute extinction. The scale tips. Survival over morality. With a heavy heart, the peaceful leader walks over to their planetary defense system. They don't hate us. They probably love our music. But survival forces their hand. They pull the trigger. A photoid is launched towards our solar system at near light speed. Meanwhile, back on Earth, we are completely oblivious. We are eating breakfast, going to work, and looking at the stars. We have no idea that our friendly "hello" from decades ago has already triggered our inevitable, approaching execution. Whether that weapon is already on its way, or if we have just been lucky so far, the dark forest theory paints a grim picture. It suggests that the universe is indeed teeming with life. But it is a universe completely paralyzed by a cold, absolute terror. So how do ancient, highly advanced civilizations manage to survive for millions of years without being destroyed by hunters? The first rule is absolute silence. No radio broadcasts, no megastructures that block starlight, and absolutely no laser communications. They use advanced technology to mask their planet's heat signatures, cooling their emissions to blend perfectly into the cosmic background radiation. To any outside observer, their highly populated solar system looks completely dead. Just a boring, useless collection of lifeless rocks. But what if a hunter accidentally stumbles upon them? What if their camouflage fails? Some theories suggest an even more extreme method of survival. The Cosmic Safety Notice. If you cannot fight, and you cannot hide, you must prove to the entire universe that you are absolutely harmless. How do you prove you are harmless? By deliberately crippling your own civilization. They create what is known as a black domain. By using godlike technology, they alter the fundamental laws of physics around their own star system, drastically lowering the speed of light. When the speed of light is lowered below the escape velocity of their solar system, nothing can ever leave, not even their fastest ships. They trap themselves inside an inescapable cosmic prison, a black hole of their own making, a permanent quarantine. By doing this, they broadcast a universal message to all hunters. We cannot leave. We cannot expand. We are absolutely not a threat. It is the ultimate sacrifice. Trading the freedom to explore the beautiful universe for the absolute guarantee of safety. This is the reality of the dark forest. The stars are not a playground. They are a graveyard of the foolish and a hiding place for the terrified. But what if there is a fatal flaw in this entire theory? A massive plot twist that makes the dark forest even more tragic. What if there were never any hunters to begin with? What if the universe was actually completely, perfectly safe? Imagine the very first advanced civilization in the young universe. They look around and see absolutely no one else. Because they are alone, they get paranoid. They see a shadow, a glitch in their radar, and assume the worst. Out of pure, irrational fear, they build a massive weapon to defend themselves, and they hide quietly in the dark. A million years later, a second civilization emerges. They look into space, excited to find friends. And what do they see? They don't see a friendly neighbor. They see a terrifying, silent civilization hiding in the dark, pointing a massive gun at them. Naturally, the second civilization panics. They immediately hide and build an even bigger gun to protect themselves. The first civilization sees this new gun, validating their original paranoia. See, the universe is dangerous, they think. This creates a chain reaction, a galactic Mexican standoff where everyone is pointing a gun at everyone else. Nobody actually wants to shoot. Nobody is actually a malicious monster. They are all just absolutely terrified of each other. The dark forest becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We created the monsters by being afraid of monsters. If the very first civilizations had just reached out in peace, the galaxy could have been a bustling, beautiful, utopian federation. Instead, the fear of the unknown infected the entire cosmos, turning every new species into a paranoid, isolated hermit. Perhaps this paranoia is the true great filter. The universe isn't a dark forest. It is an asylum of the terrified. But is the dark forest theory actually the absolute truth? Many astrophysicists and philosophers strongly disagree with its pessimistic assumptions. First, let's look at the idea of finite resources. The universe is mind-bogglingly huge, and resources are practically infinite. A highly advanced civilization might not expand exponentially forever. They could stabilize their population and live sustainably within a few star systems. They might even turn inwards. Instead of conquering the galaxy, they could upload their minds into a digital utopia powered by a single star. Second, hiding in space is practically impossible due to the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. Any civilization using enough energy to be a threat will inevitably produce massive amounts of waste heat. You cannot break physics. To a sufficiently advanced telescope, a hidden civilization would glow brightly in the infrared spectrum. The dark forest is actually a brightly lit room. Third, game theory isn't just about betrayal. It also proves, mathematically, that cooperation can be the ultimate winning strategy. Unlike physical resources, information is infinite. If two species share technology, both become twice as powerful without firing a single shot. Perhaps there is a peaceful galactic community out there. A federation functioning on mutual trust, shared knowledge, and abundant energy. Why haven't we heard from them? Maybe they have a strict hands-off policy for primitive worlds. The zoo hypothesis. Earth might simply be in a cosmic nature reserve, watched over by benevolent guardians who are patiently waiting for us to mature. The real danger of the dark forest theory is that it is a pessimistic philosophy masquerading as absolute logic. If we convince ourselves that the universe is entirely hostile, we might become the very monsters we are afraid of. We might pull the trigger out of pure fear, destroying our own humanity long before any alien weapon ever reaches us. However, we cannot ignore the chilling reality of the Fermi Paradox. The Great Silence remains the loudest piece of evidence we have. The universe has been around for nearly 14 billion years. The fact that we hear absolutely nothing is statistically terrifying. Even if the dark forest theory is only partially true, it teaches us a vital lesson. Caution is not cowardice. It is survival. When you camp in a jungle filled with unknown predators, you don't light a massive bonfire and start singing at the top of your lungs. You keep the fire small, you stay quiet, and you listen. Humanity needs to unplug its cosmic neon sign. This brings us to a massive debate in the scientific community. SETI versus METI. Listening versus actively shouting. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, is perfectly safe. We use passive telescopes to quietly listen to the background noise of the cosmos. But METI, messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, is actively transmitting our location to the stars. And many scientists argue it is a suicidal gamble. We cannot take back the Arecibo message. We cannot turn around the Voyager probes. Our early radio leaks are already light years away. If a hunter is already tracking those signals, our fate is sealed. But that doesn't mean we should keep sending out fresh flares. We need to mature as a species. We must transition from a noisy, reckless child into a quiet, observant adult. We can continue to thrive, build, and explore. We just need to do it without screaming for attention from the dark void. The cosmos is a vast, ancient ocean. It is incredibly beautiful, but it is also deep, dark, and full of the unknown. Humanity is just a tiny, fragile raft floating on the surface of this infinite sea. We have only just learned how to sail. There might be friendly dolphins out there, but there are definitely sharks. Until we know for sure, maybe we shouldn't splash the water. The universe is not a fairy tale. It is a harsh, unforgiving place governed by the cold laws of physics and evolution. But that doesn't mean we should live in absolute terror. We simply need to be smart, patient, and incredibly observant. We should continue to build better telescopes, probe the planets in our own system, and quietly learn the secrets of the cosmos. If we keep our heads down and focus on surviving our own internal struggles, we might actually make it to adulthood. Someday, thousands of years from now, humanity might be advanced enough to finally step out of the shadows and face the forest. We might build the shields, master the physics, and finally be ready to speak without the fear of being destroyed. But for now, we are just the young bird on the raft. The night sky is beautiful, and the silence is a gift. Because in a universe this deadly, the fact that we exist at all is a miracle worth protecting at all costs. So the next time you look up at the starry night, don't ask why it is so quiet. Just be thankful that, for now, the hunters haven't noticed us. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into the dark forest. If you enjoyed the existential dread, leave a like. Videos like this take hundreds of hours to research, animate, and score. We couldn't do it without your incredible support. Please click the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our next journey into the terrifying cosmos. If you want to learn more about the Fermi Paradox or black holes, click one of the videos on screen right now. Stay curious, stay quiet, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye!